Welcome, everyday leaders. Hello, it's Melanie Ake, and I have some exciting news. I posted this late last night because you know me. I'm always that spontaneous person that says, we need to celebrate. I want to celebrate more. And I have something really great to talk about today. We've had in the last couple of days with everyday leaders, we've had Jamal Sylvester and we've had Chip Baker that were both attending the Everyday Leaders Leadership Summit from February 29th. And I have another everyday leader that has some spectacular things going on in his world. And you've met him over the past couple of weeks as Greg Storch has joined us from Italy to give us some updates on all of the things that we needed to be prepared for with COVID-19. Now, Greg kind of crashed one of my other episodes with with our friend Dennis LaRue, but that's okay. Because
We're
it was
good.
so fantastic that we were able to, in this virtual world, we're able to see what people are doing and
Mm.
say how wonderful it is to say, I want to add value. I have something to say. And so Greg jumped on and I'm like, hey, here's the link, join. And so
Okay.
sometimes, but as leaders, that's what we do, right? We don't wait for the opportunity to say it's got to be all perfect and right. It's like, I want to do something right now. I have something to say to add value. So that's us. So those of you that haven't seen us before, that are watching this, going, what?
What
um,
is this?
what is this? So Greg Storch is joining us from Italy, and it's 10:30
Mm.
at night. So first of all, thank you for jumping on here because I know
You're
it's
welcome.
been a long day. Uh, but I'm putting the banner across because why we're
Mm.
celebrating Greg tomorrow is his 100th episode of the Weekly Roar, and this is a big deal. This is
Yeah.
this is a big deal. And so tomorrow's episode that you are going to be broadcasting at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Hmm.
Greg, you are so methodical about everything you do. So tell us what's going on, and I just am
Yeah.
so happy for you to share this.
Yeah, thanks so much, Melanie. It's always great to just hop on here and chat with you. And if our discussion can be of a benefit to anybody out there, it's worth the time. I'm used to doing this because of the time difference with the East Coast and the United States anyway. A lot of my coaching clients, I'm meeting with them at 10 p.m., because it's, only 2 p.m. on the West Coast. So I'm used to this, but it's great. But yeah, the 100th episode of the Weekly Roar. The Weekly Roar is just my leadership spot on Facebook. It started out as me going live and talking about leadership topics and personal growth topics. And I was only doing them for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe max. And they were just really based around things that I was learning lessons about that I wanted to share with people. And it's evolved. And I think that's what's so great about the whole journey is you don't see the growth happening as it's unfolding, but you look back when you reflect on the journey and you're like, oh my gosh, things have changed drastically from that first live to what you're seeing now in the Lion's Den. So the Facebook group is the Lion's Den because of course my company is Lion Enterprise. So everything is based around the lion. So the group is the Lion's Den. And of course the spot is called the Weekly Roar. And that's my opportunity to, roar about leadership. So one thing's led to another, and I've just been consistent week after week. And now, for a lot of people that may have a podcast going or whatever, it may not seem like that big of a deal, but you have to remember, I stayed consistent during a move to Italy from the United States. Times when we're away from this base and we're in another country, it didn't matter where I was. If it was Wednesday at 11 a.m., there was a Weekly Roar every single week. So here I am 100 episodes later.
100 episodes later, and the topic tomorrow is
Consistency.
consistency. Surprise, right?
Well, I think it's underplayed, right? We all know, consistency is important, and we kind of downplay it. And so, as I'm reflecting back, I started to think into how important it really is in our lives, in leadership, in our personal and professional lives. Consistency compounds. And as you know from our discussion on Saturday, I invited some very special people to be a part of a panel to talk about consistency, because I have authors, podcasters, coaches, leaders, speakers, trainers, and they all have very different perspectives. But the one thing they have in common is their consistency led to their success. And so we captured that Saturday, and that's what's going to air tomorrow on the 100th anniversary, or the 100th episode anniversary, is this panel discussion. And I couldn't have everybody that I wanted to on that panel because it would have lasted 5 hours. So the people, they sent me videos congratulating me. So at the end of tomorrow's webinar, we're going to hear from people that have supported me, have joined me on this journey, just to say a few words. And this event, I'm telling you, I'm almost overwhelmed by it, to be honest with you.
It is amazing because, so many times, I'm going to get this microphone over here. So many times we forget, right? We
Mm,
forget to stop and celebrate.
mm.
And this is
Yes.
a big deal. Some people have said, oh, I started a business and I'm in the Chamber of Commerce and I haven't done a ribbon cutting ceremony.
Mm,
I haven't taken the time to recognize the work that I've put into this.
mhm.
And I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels and I've got the momentum, but
Yeah.
it's because we haven't slowed down to say, wow, look what you've accomplished, right?
Yeah. 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 So important to stop and pat yourself on the back, first of all, for your even the smallest of wins. It to me, it almost goes under the category of self-care, self-love. You
Mhm.
have to stop and just say, you know what, Greg, you're doing a great job, and take that in and recognize it and accept it. And it can be fuel, and it can be momentum to continue on. Like, we're having this huge celebration and everybody's gotten behind me for tomorrow's episode, but I'm thinking about next Wednesday's 101st, right? Because I got another 100 I got to do, and then another 100 after that. So, but you're right, Melanie. It's very important that we stop and reflect and just, accept our small wins, our big wins, all of the wins.
Mhm. I want to ask you just what has changed your perspective through all this? Because, like you
Mm,
said, you were in the U.S. and you took this
mm,
to Europe, and you're in Italy, and so uh, just going through this process, somebody else that's saying, "Oh, I'm starting something, but I can't see how long it's going to last. I'm not really sure
mm.
what it's going to look like." Did you envision this to be 100 episodes, or what were you thinking when you started it?
I love it. To be honest, I my original target was to hit 100. I had no plans for after that. However, our friend Eric G. Reed caught wind of this.
He's such a turkey.
You know what? This is what I love. This is what I love about Eric Reed, is that he'll raise the flag on you in a minute when he knows better. And if you say something and he knows you're better than that, he'll challenge you on it. And
Mhm.
it makes us all better because of it. And you know, I was I was following Eric because, as you know, Eric has a spot every morning, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. And he's been doing it for 3, 4 years,
Years. Yep.
thousands of episodes, right? So, and when we talk about consistency, and Eric's on the panel, he was the first person that came to mind. But I had been watching Eric, and I had mentioned to him that I was going to start the weekly roar. And I'm got my eye on 100 episodes, and he challenged me and he said, why only 100?
Mm,
And that's when my perspective shifted. And I'm like, you're right. Why would I limit my vision of
mhm,
this? Really, the vision is I'm going to go until I have to stop. That's the perspective. And that's changed from
mm,
where I was in the beginning, of course. Very
mhm.
limited vision. And now it's very broad.
So basically, what you're saying is if you're having trouble seeing your vision clearly, you need to just at least reach out to Eric because he will kick you in the pants,
He will,
right?
and yeah, and I think we kind of hit on this a little bit on Saturday when we were talking, was that sometimes people can get lost in the big scheme of things. It can be overwhelming to them. Like,
Mhm,
you know, when you have a passion and you feel like you're living, and this, Melanie, when you feel, because I saw you light up when we talked about it the other day, when you realize that you're working in your passion, what you were born to do, sometimes it's overwhelming. And
mhm,
so the best thing we can do is not try and take a bite of the entire elephant, but just take one bite at a time and take that. Ask yourself, what's the one thing that I can do today that will just put me one step closer to getting where I'm trying to go? And then just repeat that day after day till you start hitting your stride.
mhm.
Yeah.
Great advice. Great advice. And I think from everybody being on that panel, it was such an honor, first of all. I have to just continue to tell you, we grew so much. And
Oh,
so I want to encourage people that as we're learning all of these virtual systems and virtual learning, and people are coming together saying, oh, we're using it for family. If you have the
mm,
opportunity to lift and celebrate and create a growth environment,
mhm,
do that. Do that
mhm,
for your friends, for your colleagues, because what you learn through it is so much. It's the
mhm,
capacity that you stretch and think, yeah, I may have been able to have coffee with these people, but doing it virtually, it's kind of like you put your headphones on and you're listening to a podcast, right? And you experience things, you hear things differently. And
mhm.
and you
Yeah,
really absorb what people are saying. And so it's a different experience. And
it
and
is.
so I want to challenge people. Like if you have the
Mhm,
opportunity to do this and get into your small groups and you just mastermind about topics like consistency, like values, like intentionality, right? Like trade-offs, the things that are
mm,
really important to your growth. Just to get that group together and experience this while you have some time and you're not so scheduled, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to be said, and this makes me think about, and I've had this topic on the Weekly Roar. Something I'm very passionate about is paying attention to those you surround yourself with.
Mm,
And that's been one of my biggest shifts, and I've seen the difference it makes. I've had to, you know, evaluate who I was allowing to influence me,
mm,
and my circle changed. My tribe changed. It doesn't look anything today like it did 3 years ago.
mhm,
As little as 3 years ago, I've had to say bye to some people that didn't contribute to my energy, and I wasn't influencing them in a positive way either. And I had to replace that energy with people who were helping me create momentum and helping me move, almost a symbiotic relationship,
mm.
helping me move to where I'm going while I'm helping them move to where they're going.
Isn't that true?
And
Mm,
that's what it's all about. So this meeting on Saturday, I'll tell you what, I almost had a sleepless night the night before. I was so excited to get all of you, 6 people who are all amazing leaders. Just, you know what? Forget all that. Just amazing people, human beings that actually care.
mhm,
That's what's astonishing about the whole thing.
mhm.
And
And
that's my tribe.
mm, it's amazing when you say that though. I think of the people that we're going through all this stuff now,
Mhm.
and people are leaning on people that have just shown up in their lives
Yeah.
before, right? And so they
Mhm.
may still be the wrong people. And it's really
Correct.
hard because you feel so isolated and you're
Mm.
depending on those personalities to just get you through this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I really think about that. I've talked to a lot of people about this. They're having a difficult time connecting to people that need to draw them, that can help pull them in this new
Mhm.
direction. And so that's why, giving yourself the freedom to learn this kind of a platform or to just scroll through and see all these crazy people that are becoming coaches now, you know,
Yeah.
and saying, I want to help you. Try it. Try it
Yeah.
because we're all so passionate, and those of us that have been doing this and really experience the value within ourselves to just continue to invest and to continue to connect and create, um, we get it. And it's
Mhm.
really scary when you start to grow. But those little things about consistency, right? Doing small things consistently over time create that momentum that can change your life.
Yeah. David McGlennon said this weekend, it's like etched in my mind. He said, "It's the one thing that leads to the next thing." I loved it. It's so true. It's just that one thing. Just go live. Just start the podcast. Just do it.
Mhm. This
What
is
Mel, there it is. What if you did?
what if you did? All right, so here's the secret. I've challenged Greg because how many people would sell their house, would sell everything, and move across the world and say,
This guy.
we're just going to do it? My wife has an opportunity to do something that she's always wanted to do, and now is the time for us. And
Right.
so yeah, but let's go back to that, Greg, because you
Oh,
had just gotten promoted. You were really like living your best life in a
ah,
leadership role, and you were doing so much to
yeah.
be empowered and
Mm.
and to give that up, the trade-off. Let's talk about the trade-off real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing that resonates with me with trade-offs is that you have to give up to go up, and you have to keep giving up to stay up.
Mm,
That is the biggest thing about trade-offs, and the other thing is you've gotta be willing to pay the price for that. If you aren't willing to, your dream's not big enough if you're not willing to make that sacrifice, that payoff. Our dream was to come work in Europe again. And one of the only, we tried to apply for jobs here that would bring us back to work in Europe. We applied in Germany, and when my wife was offered the job in Italy, it was a no-brainer. That was the door of opportunity opening, saying, "Here, Greg and Sam, here it is for you."
mhm,
And when opportunity knocks, you better open the door. And no matter what that means. And so this is, you have to be somebody who's a little bit not risk adverse. You have to be willing to take calculated risks. If
mhm.
you're risk adverse, you're going to stay small and you're going to stay in your comfort zone. So we were ready when the call came in and Sam was offered the position. She had an answer by the end of the day because we were ready.
Mhm.
We were ready.
And I think that now that goes to mindset, right? And so
Yeah.
us as leaders and thinkers and creators, we're always saying, how can we push that envelope to do more, to experience more?
Yes.
And so if you did, what if you did?
What
What
if you
if you
did?
just showed up and said, I'm selling the car, we're selling the house, and we're going across the world?
Hey,
So,
this has happened in our life like crazy time twice. So another what if you did moment real quick, Melanie, was we have lifelong friends from Australia. And a few years ago, we were living in the DC area, and it was coming up on his 50th birthday, a huge celebration. They were going to have a surprise party for him. And I was friends with his wife, Annie, and we had been friends for 20 years. And so we're talking, she knows Sam and we know David and we traveled together. And oh, we had not physically met David yet because they had just married, just like a year after Sam and I did. And we're texting, and one of the messages Annie sent me was, "Too bad you can't be here." So guess what? I'm on the metro from DC into Alexandria, coming home to our apartment. I walk in the apartment. Sam's got to think I'm crazy. I look over at her and I'm saying, "Sam, find out how much round trip plane tickets are to Brisbane. And we have to leave in 2 weeks." So she found us flights. We only flew to Australia for 3 days, 4
Wow.
days. We weren't even there a full week, I don't think. And then we came back, but we surprised him. We got dressed up as pirates, went to the pirate party. He had no clue. I hadn't seen Annie's children in, gosh, 17 years. They're all adults now, and it was just an amazing reunion. But here's an opportunity that presented itself that, again, what if you did? Like, I could have easily been like, "Are you kidding? I can't get on a plane and just fly to Australia 2 weeks before the party."
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if you did?
But what if you did? What if you did? I love that. That is going to be your book. And
It is. It is. And I'm almost afraid to talk to Eric about it.
well,
And you know why?
here
Because
you
I'm
go.
afraid I'm going in thinking that's my book, and I may come out with a completely different book.
Well, I am going to write it, and you're going to write the forward in it. What if
Okay.
you did? And this is by Greg Storch.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
seriously. Because now look what you've been able to teach us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this completely off of your 100th episode because a lot of people said
Cool.
after we came back after our interview
Mhm.
and they were able to connect on what's happening in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to miss this opportunity for people that are saying, "Well, Greg was the one that was telling us how it's changed." And so
Yeah.
what's
I love it.
happening as of today, April the 14th?
Yeah. So I love that we're coming back this week to give updates, because just in 1 week, what a difference a week makes. And so this is a lesson in patience and faith and belief that things will improve. And so just in this last week, our numbers have continued to decline. We had a slight increase, like just a 2% increase in our numbers just one day. But they have continued to just decline to the point that just today, they released some new guidance on the restrictions that actually loosened those restrictions up. So just last week, I found out I wasn't able to run outside, even within the 200-meter perimeter of our house. And that has changed. Now we're going to be able to go outside and exercise, even though still keeping in mind our social distancing, and those factors. They're starting to loosen up a little bit. Now we're still in masks, we're still in gloves. Everybody's super compliant with it. Today, I rode my bike to the military base, because if we go there to shop while we're there, we can also exercise. So I ran on the base while I was there to pick up some items. And, I wore my mask on my bike on the way there and on the way back. And so everybody's very compliant. They're very aware of social distancing. But the big thing is that, they're starting to loosen the control over staying at home. So there's an end in sight when, we've been doing this for, since the middle of February.
Mhm.
So it's been a long time for us, and it's going to start becoming a long time for you,
Mhm.
right?
Well, you're 5 weeks ahead of us.
Yeah.
And
So
so as we talked, you were getting tighter and tighter restrictions and
correct.
it made everybody just kind of I don't know, like, you felt chills down your spine thinking, "I am going crazy. I don't know if we can do this for another 5 weeks." Well,
Yeah.
the answer is of course you can, but but you may not want to. And And so here we go with consistency again,
Mm,
practicing those
yeah.
things that we need to do. The gloves and the mask, I am still surprised at the percent of people
Mm,
around my community that
yeah.
are not taking that seriously.
Yeah. It's a real shame that the information's not getting out. Either the information's not getting out there or the choices we're making are just not the right ones.
Yeah.
And, those people will appear. I had an epiphany today, Melanie, while I was running, which is usually when I have my strokes of genius when I'm in solitude. And first of all, my long runs were getting up towards 11 miles. And today I only got in 5 miles, half that. And I was, although the pace was great, I was really not thinking that I had much more in the tank. And what my epiphany was this. I've People like you and I, and people that are servant leaders, people that focus on others first, what I want to say to you is if that's you, be careful and pay attention to what you're doing for you as well as others. And here's why I say that. I haven't been. I haven't been getting great sleep. I've been burning the midnight oil, working on projects. No limitations. And I get out there running and my running is suffering
Mhm.
because I'm not focused on me. I'm focused on everybody else. I'm focused on creating a Friday coffee event so I can bring people together. I'm focused on helping people do whatever they need to do. I'm focused on, making Easter baskets for our apartment neighbors. And then I realized you got to be careful because if you're that type of person who's outward focused, you can lose inward focus. And
Mm.
it can be to your detriment. So my advice is please take some time for yourself for self-care and realize that you need your attention just as much as other people do.
That is
So,
so important, especially
mm,
now because you feel like, oh, you've got time, right?
yeah.
Oh, you've got free time. You're not doing things normally. So, what I might do with the time that I'm traveling to work or going out for coffee, right? I can go help somebody else.
Yeah.
And it can be exhausting.
Yeah.
Somebody used the term the other morning on my Bible study. They said, I am zoomed out. I thought that's a great this is a great word, right?
Zoomed
Because
out.
we're also used to it, but people that are starting to
Mhm.
experience this,
Oh,
Joe was
yeah.
saying who's going to start creating the glass glare, the infomercial that you're going to start selling something to protect people from the rays from the computer screen because now we're
Oh,
that's what we're doing
yeah.
more of,
A
right?
lot of it.
Just funny. It's the things that are going to be invented, though. So many
Yeah.
people have written stories about, right? The things when
Already.
you're in isolation, you really have time to think into. And so,
I'm telling you, but you know what's funny is I was getting ready for work the other day and I was like, okay, now if I was actually working and I needed to drive to the office, I would have a good 30 to 60-minute commute. And if that's true for you, what I suggest you do is don't jump out of bed, throw on your slippers, and then run into your home office and start working. Take that 30-minute commute time or that 60-minute commute time that you wouldn't have been working because that's that space you've created from waking up and leaving your home and your family to entering the workplace. So continue that. Give yourself, no, you're not driving anywhere. So exercise, have a breakfast with your family, have a cup of coffee, reflect, journal, do something for that 30-minute to 60-minute window, and then go to work.
mhm,
So that's a great way of having a routine. But yeah, don't get too crazy and just kill yourself. My wife, oh my gosh, she's working harder now remotely than when she's active in the center when it's open.
mhm,
It's
mhm.
crazy.
Because you're feeling this, I can do this. I have the capacity now, right? Because I have this extra time. So I'll just shove more into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So,
I think it's really interesting, and we really appreciate you, Greg, giving us the update on that because, it's what we feel like we know that's happening before, right? So we know
mhm.
that what you've experienced is going to come over here, and even though the East Coast is having, they're more concentrated, and so as it
Yeah.
comes across the United States, we have to
Mhm.
be really careful and still think about all the strategies that are going to
Yeah.
protect ourselves.
Mhm.
And so we just appreciate you. I'm so glad that you were able to jump on here tonight and
Yeah.
check in with us.
Me
Um,
too.
and celebrate you because, this is all about leaders and lifting people and celebrating. And I think tomorrow is just going to be the best day ever. It's almost 11 o'clock there where you're,
Yeah.
it's a little after 11. So you have basically under an hour where your day kicks off of celebrating the 100th episode of the Weekly Roar. So
Yeah.
be poised like a lion,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Be poised
Yes.
like a lion.
Yep.
It's amazing to be on this journey with you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Storch.
Thank you. You know what? I, my gosh, it's just overwhelming to me the people that have come to lift me on this occasion. It's been crazy, amazing to me, and I love it that everybody's able to do that for me and step up and be like, yeah, we got you, and watch this.
Watch this. That's right. And so
Oh,
celebrate in public, right? If
yeah,
people are saying, "Well, it's not a big deal." It is a big
it is.
deal.
It
And
is totally. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, easily I could downplay this. I mean, okay, it's 100 episodes, but it's 2 years every week for 2 years
Mhm.
of every Wednesday. And
Yeah.
it that habit is created, and so that's why it's so important. So it is, while it's not a huge number, it's not 1,000, it's not 10,000, but it is 100, and
Mhm.
it took some effort to get there, and
Mhm.
so it's definitely worth taking pause to celebrate and just embrace that. So I appreciate you, Mel,
Ah,
so much. Thank
this
you so
is
much.
oh, you're so welcome. This is so much fun. I want everybody to go to the Lion's Den,
Yeah.
join the
Here,
group, watch
link.
the yes, watch the episodes. Greg has all 100 too. So you can go back through and you can
Mhm.
see all of the episodes. And so that's
Yeah.
what's great. You can see the first one just like you can on every episode, right? Remember the Brady
Yeah.
Bunch when it started.
Yeah, my gosh, and, a couple of years ago, I started 2019, so a year ago, or a little over a year ago, I started out, with a series where I did panels for 15. We covered the 15 invaluable laws of growth. And I had a different leader on for each law, and I handpicked them specifically for their law, and it was great. That was and they're all on my website, um, lion-enterprise.com, and there's a tab called, believe it or not, the Lion's Pride Library.
Shock.
Go figure. And you can find all my videos. They're all free for you to go check out. They're all titled, so you can just pick whatever title you're interested in watching. Take the
Gosh.
later ones; they're better.
Oh man, Greg, I love you. This has been so much fun and I'm going to let you go to bed, but
Okay.
I wanted to celebrate you. I want you to know how much we all appreciate you. We follow you. Your series Follow the Leader, right? And that's
Yeah.
so appropriate.
I
Because you
love it.
teach us and you're such a great speaker. You're a great trainer. You're a great coach. And you give us all the opportunity to rise up our own levels to try to be just like Greg and just like a lion. So everybody join us. Go 1, 2, 3. I
Love
love
it.
it. Tomorrow on
Amazing.
Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, the Weekly Roar. Join
Yes,
us. Join us. If you can't join us live,
please.
please go to the replay. Share
Yeah,
it with everybody because
yeah.
this has really been an amazing journey, and Greg has been leading us all the way. So,
Bring pen and paper tomorrow because you will be furiously writing copious notes. I guarantee you.
copious notes. Copious notes.
Copious.
That's right. And if you need to connect to Greg afterwards, find him.
Yes.
Flyin Enterprises.
Yes.
Find Greg and follow these steps because seriously, um, we all know that it is not an easy path. But when you decide to grow and you decide to be consistent, this is the topic that you're going to learn so much
Mm,
about. So,
yeah.
so join us.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mel. And everybody, hang in there. Keep washing your hands, keep wearing your masks and gloves, keep social distancing, and keep practicing patience. It's going to get better.
Mm, it's great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your encouragement. And we'll be checking back with you next week and see how your 100th episode feels after next week.
I love it. I
All
love
right.
it. And hopefully we'll have even better news for out of Italy.
Yes,
Awesome.
that's what our goal is.
I love it. Yes. 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 So thank you, Mel. I look forward to seeing you in the Lion's Den tomorrow at 11 a.m. and all of our other friends. And until then, good night, everybody.
Good night.